And we're going to move on now to the next presentation, which is by Geetika Bhanda. She's from the Tropical Island Biodiversity, Ecology and Conservation Group from the University of Mauritius. And she's going to talk to us about the temporal expression of foraging patterns of Pteropus species in lychee orchards and backyard gardens. Over to you, Geetika, if you are ready to share your slides with us. Okay, I think we are ready for you. Just let us know when you want us to move forward to the next slide.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So hi everyone, I am Geetika and I am a part-time MPhil PhD student at the University of Mauritius, and I work mainly with the Mauritius fruit bat. And today I'm going to talk about one aspect of my study, which is about the temporal expression of foraging patterns of bat in lychee orchards and backyard gardens. Next. So I will first start by introducing the endangered muscle Mauritius fruit bat and commercial crop damage, then discuss a bit about the overall aim of the study and objectives and how we collected our data. I will also talk a bit about the results and discussion and also the implication of this study. Next. So Mauritius flying fox, Mauritius fruit bat or Pteropus niger, it is endemic to the Mascarene Islands. We have the main population here in Mauritius. There's also a small population in Réunion Island. They eat mainly fruits, flowers, nectar, and occasionally feed on insects. Next. So Mauritius is left with only about 2% of its native forest. And it was found that the fruit bats, they play a disproportionately large ecological role in native forests. So they eat native fruits and disseminate their seeds, which leads to regeneration of new plants and also helps connecting fragmented forest in Mauritius. Next. Unfortunately, they also include commercial fruits in their diet. And in Mauritius, we have three main commercial fruits: lychee, mango, and longan. And especially lychee and mango, they are very important to the local market and export industry here. And because bats feed on them, they cause damage in mainly orchards and also backyard gardens. And this has led to angry farmers. And then the government decided that the best way to deal with this situation was to amend the biodiversity law that protects fruit bats to allow mass culling of this species. Next. So when they decided to mass cull the bat, it started in 2015. And since then, we've had already several mass culling campaigns. And despite all the attention that this particular situation got, not just in Mauritius, but also globally, the government still decided to continue with the mass culling campaigns. And next, when this mass culling started in 2015, it continued for 5 consecutive years. And the population of fruit bats was already facing a decline due to decreasing forest quality because of invasive plants and animals, and also decreasing foraging habitat quality, also cyclones, and also illegal hunting. But now, on top of that, we also have mass culling as a new threat. And the population was reassessed by the IUCN, and it was uplisted from vulnerable to endangered in 2018. And on top of that, Florence and Bader showed that mass culling campaigns have actually failed to increase reproduction. That is why there is a need to do further research on this particular issue, which is the human-wildlife conflict between fruit growers and fruit bats in Mauritius, to not just help protect the Mauritian fruit bats, but also find solutions that truly help fruit growers in protecting their trees. Next. So here, this is part of my study. So overall, my study is about promoting non-lethal solutions to human-wildlife conflicts. And one way to do it is to better understand the foraging ecology of those fruit bats. And when we better understand this, we will be able to devise and optimize non-lethal management practices. And in turn, this is going to help promote non-lethal solutions. Next. So the study is about investigating temporal expression of foraging patterns of bats and other vertebrate frugivores over a 24-hour cycle. And here we have three main objectives. First is to look at the contribution, also seasonal, of different agents to commercial fruit damage. Second is to investigate fruit ripeness effect on bats and birds' foraging behavior. And the last one is to investigate patterns in bats' foraging behavior during the night. Next. So about the study sites, we collected data in orchards and backyard gardens for lychee trees. So in total, we had 24 lychee trees in orchards and 6 backyard trees. And the study was during the fruiting season of lychee, so from start of November till end of December. So basically, it started when the fruits were still unripe up till the fruits were all ripe and there was nothing left on the tree. Next. First, we randomly selected lychee trees and placed permanent fruit traps under each tree. And these traps were placed at each cardinal point, so we had 4 traps per tree. And the fruits falling under each traps were collected and assessed every 6 hours. So first we started at 6 in the morning and a second assessment at noon, then at 6 in the evening, midnight, again 6 in the morning, which completes a whole 24-hour cycle. Next. And when the fruits fell in the traps, they were collected and assessed, like I said. So the assessment was done like this, based mainly on bite marks. So just we assess bat, birds, rats, and monkeys mainly. Next. Now, if we look at the agents of fruit loss in orchards, this is for the 2 orchards combined. As we can see, the bats do account for the highest proportion of fruit loss. And then on the second position, we have birds accounting for only 14% of damage. So we classified bats and birds as regular visitors. And for birds, we found that there were mainly 4 bird species, introduced species, that were eating their fruits. And then we have also rat and monkey eating fruits, but that was negligible, less than 1%. For rats, mainly because the fruit growers are aware of this and they already use rodenticide as a preventive measure. We also had another classification, which is others category. And this is just a combination of fruits falling naturally or because of fungal damage, for example. And this is also quite low because for fungal damage, for example, they also use fungicide in orchards. Next. Now, if we look deep, mainly data for birds and bats, because for rats and monkeys, we didn't have enough observation to do that. So here, when we look at the amount of fruit being damaged by each bat and bird throughout the cycle, we can see that at the end of the cycle, less fruits are being attacked by bats. And this could be probably explained by the fact that with increasing cycle, there's also a decrease in fruit abundance because the animals are already eating the fruits. And also at the end of the cycle, the farmers have started harvesting those fruits. And the second reason could also be because of increasing fruit ripeness. And this is what we are going to discuss more in details in the next slide. Next one. So now we're looking at fruit ripeness effect on foraging behavior. So we have on the x-axis, it's fruit ripeness percentage. So 0 would mean here that the fruit is unripe, it's still green, and 100% would mean the fruit is fully ripe. And the proportion of flesh eaten also is classified from 0 to 100. 0 meaning the fruit has been attacked by the animal, but no flesh was eaten, and 100% means all the flesh were eaten, just the seed was left. So here, as we can see, there's strong evidence that the bats, they eat higher proportion of flesh with increasing ripeness for both orchards. And for parakeet, we found the same trend, but with moderate evidence. So this shows that these two probably they would target ripe fruits for foraging. Next. Now, when we after these two results that we've seen, we can say that when fruits are still unripe, bats would tend to attack a lot of these fruits, but they won't eat much of it. So they would eat less flesh. And as the fruit ripens, fewer fruits would be attacked, but more flesh would be eaten. So here, if we look at this from two perspectives, one from the farmer's point of view, for them, however, whatever way the bats are eating these fruits, either it is they eat it 50% flesh or 100% or 0%, it is still considered a damage for the farmer. And we found that the damage starts early on in the season, and it is also more consequential. So for them, the trees needs better protection from the start. And for the bat, because they're eating little of each fruit at the start, they would obviously damage more of it because they're not satisfied yet. So this would again imply that there would be greater losses for farmers. Next. Is it on the next slide?
Yes.
Oops. Okay,
Foraging
I'll
pattern.
just yeah, okay, I'll just continue because okay, it's still stuck on the previous, but I will just continue, it's fine. So for the bat foraging pattern, so we just looked at the bat activity before and after midnight. So as you would see in the plot, we did that for the two orchards and also backyard trees. And we found strong evidence that there's more bat damage before midnight for one orchard and the backyard trees. And mobile damage would mean that there's more bats visiting those commercial trees. Unfortunately, we didn't find any evidence for one of the orchard, and this could be explained by the fact that usually orchards, they are guarded and defended at night if they have no protection whatsoever, like if they are not netted, for example. And this could have also affected the pattern at Calabas orchard. Next. So this study is about quantifying fruit damage between diurnal and nocturnal species. And with the results we have, we hope it is going to help equip managers with improved ability to apply temporally optimized active deterrence action. For example, it was found by Alexi et al. In 2021 that nets are very effective in decreasing bat damage here in Mauritius. But there are certain limitations still that exist for the optimal implementation. And usually nets in Mauritius, they are made available close to the fruiting season or at the start of the fruiting season. So here, as we've seen, fruit bats, they start damaging fruits when they're still green. So one of the action that could be done is to make sure that nets are available way before the fruiting season, and that the fruit growers have time to buy it and place it on their trees at the right time, not when the fruits are already half ripe or close to end of ripening stage. And the second part of it would be for fruit growers who are using bat deterrent methods at night, it would be more cost effective if they focus using those methods at the start of the night, because there's more bats. We tend to have more bats coming to the orchard at the start. So with these small results we found, we hope that if it is applied to a large scale, it would contribute towards alleviating human-wildlife conflict in Mauritius. Next. I would like to thank Bats Without Borders for inviting me to present about my research here today, and also all my sponsors and everyone, human and non-human beings, who helped me during this study. Thank you.
Thank you, Geetika, for that. That was really interesting. If there's any questions, please feel free to type them in the chat. In the meantime, I'm just gonna ask about how you communicate your findings to the farmers and how open they are to taking on board the suggestions that you're making.
So at the start, when I first started my PhD, it was a bit difficult because they would always be like, no, we have to kill the bats. Even in the orchards, they still do it. They would, if they have bats stuck in the nets, they would kill them. So they are very specific about that. But they also are welcoming because in a sense, they know that I am doing this research to find ways for them as well to protect their trees. In that sense, they do still stick to the fact that they don't like the bats and they want them to be massacred. but they do allow me to use their trees for my trials. So we find like we agree that we find a way to work together despite having those different opinions about the bats. And so usually up till now, what we did, we just meet every fruiting season, and we would just I would just give them a brief summary of what we have done till now, what we've found. But as from this year, like last year, we got a grant which is also about testing other methods in orchard to protect trees. And one of our objective for this grant is also to better share these findings with farmers. So this year, by the end of August, we would organize workshop with fruit growers and also local people in the agriculture sector, so that we will do presentations and more videos to better share the findings with them. So it's more for this year's plan.
That's great. Well, good luck with those workshops and that really important work in working with farmers and other stakeholders. And thanks again